Hey everyone! So now that Pandaemonium has all of its normal mode encounters out, I thought it would be a fun time to rank them with a tier list. So when it comes to the normal modes, I'm not exactly looking for a challenge, I don't expect that, but what I do want are those moments that make you go wow. You know, I'm looking for the spectacle. I also think about how much do I want to do the encounters over again, not because I need gear, but because it was fun. By the way, if I don't mention the music, it's because all the music is amazing, and I think saying that every single encounter would start to get repetitive. Anyways, with all that being said, let's start the ranking. Okay, so first up is Erichthonius, and I thought that this was an amazing start to the raid tier, so we're gonna go ahead and put him into the A tier. I really like the arena for this one. The cages swinging around in the background really set the mood, and the boss's model is also fantastic. He has all of these chains coming out of his back, and he also uses them as a weapon. I love that as a weapon type. I'd be all over a job that used chains for a weapon, and I thought it was awesome when he's swinging his chain and scythe around, and then you have to dodge it. It might be a very basic mechanic, but it fits the criteria of looking really cool. There is also this really awesome stage transition, where you are transported to this dartboard, and now you have to check the boss's telegraphs, and make sure you're standing on the right colors, so that you don't take extra damage, and really start to freak your healers out. When I redid this encounter to refresh my memory and get footage, it was a real nice reminder of just how awesome this encounter is. Okay, so the next fight is against Hippocampus, and for me, I think this goes into the B tier. Alrighty, so we are now in a sewer, and the main gimmick is very cool. The water levels rise and fall throughout the encounter. I thought that this was a really fun way to limit your movement, and the attention to detail is also there. Because if you look in the background, you can actually see the water pouring in from these huge pipes. Now, when it comes to the mechanics, other than the water gimmick, the one that stuck out to me is when the boss separates its head from its body, and then uses the head to blast a huge section of the arena. I thought that was really fun. So that was two really good encounters in a row. This was a really great start to this tier. But what about the next encounter? Well, the next fight in the series is Phoenix, and this is my least favorite fight in the whole entire raid, so I feel like I really need to put this into the D tier. And it has nothing to do with the mechanics. I thought those were pretty fun, especially Fledgling Flight, where you need to Mario Kart around the arena to dodge a bunch of huge conal AoEs. But that color scheme, oh god, it's not fun to look at for extended periods of time. Much like the arena itself, it sets your retinas on fire. You close your eyes and all you see is red. And this could be my color blindness speaking, but in this arena, I could not see the markers very well. Which really was only a problem for Savage, and this is probably unfair, but Savage has severely negatively impacted this encounter for me. When I went into this encounter again to get the footage, I was not having a good time. But the final encounter, Hesperos, is an amazing encounter. They ended this tier on a Mariah Carey level high note, and it easily gets S tier for me. So this encounter did so much for me. I love the Castlevania vibes it gives off. I mean, Hesperos is basically a vampire here. You are trespassing in his castle, and then there's the awesome music going off. They set the stage so well. Speaking of setting stages, his big mechanic for this encounter is exactly that. He sets the stage, and then these red velvet curtains surround the arena, and now you have different elements you need to learn to deal with. I thought that was so good, and I loved the way it kept escalating throughout the encounter. I remember the first week, I ran this like 15 times, and not because I was getting very unlucky with gear, it was because I loved this encounter so much, and I wanted to do it over and over. Anyways, that was all of Tier 1. They really did end it on a very strong note. And now we are moving on to the second tier, Abyssos. So, moving on to the second tier, the first encounter, Proto-Carbuncle, is another easy S-tiered encounter for me. This might be my favorite normal mode in the entire series. So, I love the setting of this one. It was such a unique and cool idea. You start off in one of those swinging cages that we've seen before, and after doing enough damage, Carbuncle is no longer having it, throwing an epic tantrum, destroying the cage in the process, and plummeting the raid to another arena below. It's such a badass moment, and really adds to the cinematic quality of this encounter. And the mechanics are some of the best looking and most wowing in the whole raid. You use barriers to block attacks. The boss jumps around the arena trying to devour you. There are just so many awesome moments in this encounter. It's very fun, and I just love running it. The only negative is it's so good that it completely peaked this tier. It was all downhill from Carbuncle. So next up is Hegemony, and I'm gonna put her into the C tier. I thought that this encounter was okay, but when compared to many of the other encounters, it does feel a little bit underwhelming. You know, from her model to the environment to the mechanics, they are all fine, but none of it wowed me. And unfortunately, this encounter came right after Proto Carbuncle, which was so good that it made this one feel a lot worse. After doing this encounter for the first time, I never felt compelled to run it again. Her big main unique mechanic is creating danger tiles all over the floor, and then swapping them around. It's a fine mechanic, but it lacked that wow factor. So next up is Aegisthus, and I thought that this was another okay encounter, and just like Hegemony, I'm gonna put her into the C tier. But I did like this one a little bit more than Hegemony, so she gets the edge. So what made this encounter pull ahead for me was that the stage transitions were really cool, and the boss model is also really good. Where I was let down, a little bit, is none of the mechanics really wowed me. It isn't an encounter that I would choose to do over and over, but if it came up in my daily roulette, I really wouldn't mind. Okay, so the last encounter of this tier is Hephaestus, which is my second favorite encounter of the tier, and I would say he goes into the A. So this encounter had a lot of really cool moments that elevated it and made it more cinematic, something that I felt was missing from the previous two encounters. For example, when the boss transforms into a beast and starts knocking the raid all around the arena, and you have to position yourself so you don't get knocked back into the fire, not only does this look cool, it's a lot of fun to do. Another moment that made me go, wow, was when he summoned these fiery portals, and then you have to watch for these flame dragons coming out of them, and see where they are going to know where the safe spots are. These are really cool looking mechanics. This is another encounter that I ran a lot, because I thought it was just so much fun to do. So those were the Abyssos encounters. They started very strong, and I think they nailed the ending. And now we are on the final tier of Pandaemonium, and the first encounter for this list is the eponymous Pandaemonium for some reason, and I would put this monstrosity in the A tier. Pandaemonium is a great encounter. The environment is just as creepy as the boss, which I think is one of the coolest looking bosses in the game, complete with some really fantastic animations and flashy mechanics. I mean, just look at this. He's sticking his weird creepy head out and shooting a laser beam blasting half the arena. It's such a fun and weird telegraph, and I just love it. It puts a smile on my face every time. And then there's also the part where he is smashing his body into the arena. It's a very fun and cinematic way to show massive raid-wide damage. This is the sort of stuff that really elevates the encounter for me. So the next encounter is Themis, aka Elidibus, and this is another amazing encounter, and for me, it's another easy S tier. One of the reasons this encounter had such an impact on me is the story relevance. Elidibus has been around for a while. We know him. That adds so much weight to the encounter. Another big plus was we got to hear Elidibus' voice again. That elevated the encounter even more. Outside of that, the environment is amazing, accompanied by fantastic music, and the encounter has some solid mechanics. This one is firing on all cylinders. So Elidibus is a character invested in the balance between light and dark. So that is what the main gimmick of this encounter is. So what Elidibus does is he summons a light and dark circle, and now your raid has to balance them out. It's actually a lot more simple than it sounds, but what makes it a lot of fun is when you have to dodge other mechanics while needing to stand in the circle. So the next encounter of this tier list is Kakitos, which is the first encounter of the actual tier. Anyways, for me, this is another B-tiered encounter. Now I say them because the gimmick of this encounter is the boss devours different souls to gain different abilities and personalities. And I thought that was such a fun way to introduce different mechanics. Also, giving the boss different voices for each personality was a great touch. Now, my favorite is the Beast Lament. This is when he gets on all fours and starts fighting you like an animal, and it's fantastic. The mechanics for this part are also really good. Lots of movement with knockbacks, flares, and meteors. And now that brings us to the final encounter of the entire raid, Athena. And for me, this is another A-tiered encounter. And looking at the A tiers, I think this is my favorite of the three, so let's go ahead and put her right in the front. Now, the one thing that holds this back a little bit for me is the ability Trinity of Souls. The colors of those rings are very hard for me to see. It's probably a combination of my color blindness and the effects of players' abilities making them so challenging to make out. Other than that one thing, this encounter is fantastic. The boss has a great looking model, and the arena is gorgeous, high up in the heavens where angels roam and feathers fall. Also, the encounter does one of my favorite gimmicks. Athena removes segments of the floor, limiting your space to do mechanics, and of course, if you aren't careful, you can fall right to your death. As for the mechanics themselves, they are really fun to do, and some of them are very flashy. With Super Chain Theory, you have different orbs and a donut being linked together by chains, pulling them together into one another, and then you need to recognize where the safe space is going to be. There's also this really cool ad phase. Final Fantasy XIV doesn't do ad phases very often, so whenever they do, it feels pretty special. In this case, the arena gets transformed, you are surrounded by blue flames, and you have a very limited space to deal with the mechanics. So it's very engaging and visually stunning. So yeah, that was the final Pandaemonium normal tier, and they ended it with a bang. Every encounter in this tier was very, very good. Okay, so before ending this video, let's just make sure this tier list is exactly how we want it to be. So in the S tier we have, I think I want to put Proto Carbuncle first, and now this order looks pretty much good. In the A tier, I want to put Pandaemonium second, and I want to put Hephaestus third, and now this looks pretty good too. In the B tier, I want to put Kakitos ahead of Hippocampus, and well, C and D are fine as they are. Alright everyone, so that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know how you'd rank these encounters in the comments below. If you liked what you saw and you want to see more, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.